Today, debate and the power of ideas are more important than ever before. The focus tonight on the struggle for power and influence in the Indo-Pacific could not be more timely. And the Institute itself could not be better placed to stimulate debate and ideas that this theme invites. The stark reality is this: we are living in the most significant period of geostrategic transition since the Second World War. Globalisation has brought great benefits and opportunities to the Indo-Pacific. It has brought extraordinary economic growth and unprecedented social change. Millions of people across the Indo-Pacific have been lifted out of poverty and can now expect to lead lives their grandparents couldn't even have dreamed of. Southeast Asian economies together equate to the world's fifth largest economy, projected to be fourth by 2030. Thailand, Malaysia and the Philippines will make it to the top 25 by 2030. Indonesia is expected to become the world's fourth largest economy by 2050, surpassing Japan and Germany. But let's not forget that Australia too has benefited enormously from decades of economic growth and stability. This growth and prosperity would not have been possible in the absence of a United States-led rules-based order. An order built on the recognition of sovereign rights, of democratic freedoms, and the fundamental principle that all nations are entitled to conduct their affairs without force or coercion. An order in which we all in this room have felt comfortable and secure in for decades. In fact, for most of us, for our entire lives. And now in hindsight, it's a level of comfort that has made most of us somewhat complacent in assuming that all nations share the same commitment. This order is now under threat on many fronts. The result is a world, an Indo-Pacific, which is dynamic and which is evolving rapidly. It is still full of opportunity, but it is also becoming increasingly contested. In short, it has become very clear to me in the past 4 months as the Minister is our region is feeling anxious about its future. What we want is a region that is secure, is open, is inclusive, is prosperous and is resilient. A region where disputes are resolved peacefully according to international law and without the threat of force or coercion. Where open markets facilitate flows of goods, services, capital and, importantly, of ideas. Where rights of freedom of navigation and overflight are upheld and the rights of small states are fully respected. Where international law, rules and norms are equally applied. And where regional and global architecture and institutions maintain a central role and help set the rules and norms of behaviour in our region. There are new challenges, grey zone tactics and hybrid warfare by both state and non-state actors. Threats to and from space, threats in the cyber domain, hypersonic vehicles and much more capable missiles. But there's also an emergence of new technologies, the digital transformation of every aspect of our lives and economies, and the increasing modernisation and integration of infrastructure within and increasingly across national borders. All of these influences heighten our security challenges and make our region a more complex place. We must also remain vigilant to the ongoing threats of terrorism, transnational crime, people smuggling, political and economic corruption, and the challenges to the legitimacy of state and economic institutions. We must find new ways of working together more closely with partners inside and outside of government. But we also need to use our strong network of international relationships to reinforce the rules-based order. This is the second aspect of our approach. Australia's interests and offerings are diverse and they are rich. This gives us a unique perspective on the struggle for power and influence that is shaping the international order. Australia seeks genuine partnerships in the pursuit of shared interests, and when we disagree, we are respectful, but we remain engaged. Australia cannot afford to allow geography or history to limit our strategic engagements. We must strengthen our relationships with traditional partners and build new ties with states who share our values. The Australia-US alliance remains the cornerstone of Australian security and remains a major force for stability and security in our region. Our alliance is a powerful statement and also a demonstration of mutual commitment and shared values that underpin an enduring friendship. It is an essential part of the fabric of security arrangements across the Indo-Pacific in which Australia plays such an active role. It is in Australia's interest for the United States to continue to be a strong and active participant in the security and development of the Indo-Pacific. And Australia will continue to broaden and deepen our alliance cooperation and support the strongest possible security and economic engagement by the United States in this region. In North Asia, our relationship with Japan is broadening and becoming more strategically important. Japan has substantial economic reach across the region and is developing new capabilities. Australia regards our partnership with Japan as our closest and most mature defence relationship in Asia. We are two Indo-Pacific democracies that approach the exercise of regional power and influence in very similar ways, by working with partners with respect. And another important partner for Australia is the Republic of Korea. Denuclearisation of the Korean Peninsula is an urgent priority for us both. Indeed, nuclear proliferation by North Korea remains the most urgent challenge for our region. And no one feels that urgency more acutely than the Republic of Korea, with whom we work closely to support the security and stability of the Korean Peninsula. Now, turning to the Pacific, our defence partnerships are deep and long-standing. Forged on the battlefields of World War II, our soldiers have fought together, died together, and many are buried together. Building on our long-standing ties and our shared values, the government is stepping up defence engagement with our Pacific family. I recently had the opportunity for a wonderful visit to Papua New Guinea and also the Solomon Islands, my first as Defence Minister, to witness this partnership in action. I saw our forces working side by side on exercise, and I was struck by the two-way transfer of skills, of knowledge, of friendship, of respect, and of laughter. The overwhelming message from my Pacific counterparts was one of great sovereign pride and a determination to set their own priorities and to realise their own ambitions. So to help achieve that, through the Defence Cooperation Program, we are working very hard to support these sovereign priorities. And we will, of course, continue to work side by side with our Pacific partners to build a region that is strategically secure, economically stable, and also, importantly, that is politically sovereign. Southeast Asia's proximity to Australia and location at the pivot point between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean means that the stability, security and prosperity of this region directly affects our own. Southeast Asia frames Australia's northern approaches and our key trade routes flow through it. Australia remains one of the few countries to conduct strategic defence dialogues with all Southeast Asian countries. We listen to regional perspectives and we work together with our partners to respond to regional challenges. Each year, over 1,000 Southeast Asian military officers come to Australia to build closer bonds and mutual understanding through training and study. We also conduct around 50 bilateral, minilateral and multilateral exercises across Southeast Asia. Our strong and productive relationship with Indonesia is also crucial to providing security in this dynamic region. And again, Australia and Indonesia have an abiding interest in deepening our cooperation in the areas of maritime security, counter-terrorism, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and peacekeeping. Now I come to the Indian Ocean. It's an ocean that links Australia to Indonesia, to India, to the Middle East and also to Africa. And it is increasingly an area of great strategic competition. The Indian Ocean accounts for half of the world's container traffic and is a crucial conduit for global trade. It is home to some of the world's fastest growing economies, including 5 of Australia's top 15 trading partners: India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore and Thailand. We've given expression to our interests by strengthening our involvement in the Indian Ocean rim states, and particularly, and possibly most importantly, by working to develop closer strategic and defence relationships with India. It is a time of great change in our region, a time to work harder and smarter with our partners to maintain the security and prosperity that has delivered so much for so long. But it's also a time to reflect on our cherished sovereignty as a democratic nation and to ensure its protection and survival.